real quick. We're going to call to order this meeting of the Plain Township Board of Trustees for Tuesday, November 24th, 2015. If everybody will stand, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before us, we have our agenda is presented. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections by fellow board members or department heads?
I'd just like to have fiscal officer number 8, purchase orders.
Any other changes? The agenda will stand as amended. That'll start us out with the sheriff's report, and I'm going to turn that over to Lieutenant Springer and Detective Connick.
Good evening, everyone. Before you have the monthly report for October, overall, it was a 3.2% decrease in the cost for service, and everything was pretty much down. 3.2 wasn't too bad, but everything was pretty much down for the month. 3-year trend on everything. It's kind of following the trend that we've had for the year. Still for the 3 years that we've already had for October, it's not that big of a decrease.
Is it safe to say maybe some of that, when you take a look at crashes with injury are directly related to probably the wet weather that we've had this year as compared to last year at this time or dealt with?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm big on traffic. At least that's Lieutenant Springer and I, that's where we just came from, working traffic. I really believe the more stops we have, the less crashes we're going to have. I think directly this is in hand. And we still have 190 traffic stops for the month. That's still a pretty good number. You know, we try to, and I think that's in the last couple of months, the traffic stops have been less, but we've also in past years had more checkpoints, more traffic enforcement through STEP grant. You know, we haven't had too much extra enforcement on top of what the guys are already doing, but I think 190 traffic stops is still pretty good for the month, with 170 citations. So yeah, that's going to directly always, to me, I truly believe that that's going to directly affect any crashes with injury. You slow people down, and they're not going to hit each other or other things as much. I had 15 follow-up investigations for the month with 6 closed cases. Nothing we really saw in the monthly for the month of October was really trending wise. A lot of things were sporadic. I think Lieutenant Springer at the last meeting kind of touched on some some vehicle break-ins in one specific neighborhood. So you know, we'll always preach, you know, lock your stuff up, don't let it sit out in plain view in your vehicle, and people won't want to break in and steal your stuff. But other than that, we didn't really see anything that was trending that kind of raised our attention. Any questions?
No, is there anybody in the crowd that has anything for the sheriff's office?
I'm sorry, there's a gentleman here tonight, I don't know if it would come under sheriff, but he's here complaining about, as a legitimate complaint, about 4-wheelers late at night.
Yeah, well,
I don't know if you want that now or under concern of...
Do it now.
do it right now under the sheriff.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
If you would, just state your name and your address for the record.
Yes, it's Richard M. Pope, PODE, 4111 Plain Center Avenue, Northeast.
Okay.
And it's more of a concern. There's property down on the corner of Middle Branch and, Martindale and Plain Center. We as neighbors know that they don't really reside there, but they have a business of some sort. We don't know exactly what it is. It might be landscaping or whatever, but,
Oh, that's probably the pond and the.
yeah.
Okay.
Corner.
Yeah,
Right center
okay.
line.
Yes.
But in any event, not, complaining about what they do, they have a private property, they do whatever they want to do, obviously, but they've started this trend with this four-wheeler stuff. And the problem for us in terms of neighbors is that it goes on way past 10:30, 11 o'clock, and that's all you hear is that, and it just drives you nuts. And it's just a concern because before, most of us been there for a long time, it was always quiet. Well, they came in and then rearranged the area and all that, but it's this, we're not saying that they can't do what they folks can do, but it's starting to become monotonous in terms of the noise.
Is it every night or specifically on the weekends?
It's automatically, it's on the weekends, Fridays and Saturdays. Last night they were there, and it's, frankly, because of the nice weather we're having, it's more on the upstream than they have in the past, but, and then they have, they have parties and barn fires and all, that's fine, but it's just that constant noise, because those things are not quiet.
About how long does it go? You said it starts about 11, 11:30?
No, it goes up to that.
Up
It
until-
starts usually about 6:30, 7 o'clock. Matter of fact, they're down there now, but they usually start about this time of the night, and then on the weekends, it goes up and into past 11 o'clock, way past 11, so. But, I've tried to go over there and talk to them, but it's not, doesn't do me any good.
Do they stay on their property or do they go out into the roadway or anything?
They stay on their property because, it'd be against their will in terms of safety to go out on the roads with those things. But their primary area there that they ride in, it seems like they have competition there, so to speak, where they chase each other around, and the uproar is like pretty continuous. But they do it during the week as well.
In the evening?
But it's always, in the evening. But Fridays and Saturdays, and we were trying to figure out how they can even have a business in a residential area or operate out of there, but that's another subject altogether.
Right. From an enforcement standpoint, they're not going onto the roadway.
Right.
They're going till about 11, 11:30, you said. I don't really have any ideas off the top of my head enforcement-wise. Lieutenant Springer, is there anything that you can think of?
We're probably a little bit of a stretch for the noise ordinance.
Yeah.
However, it does not prevent us from making contact and asking for cooperation from them. We're
Yeah.
more than glad to do that for you, sir. We'll take care of that.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Well, and I don't think the bonfires have been registered. Are they bigger than 3x3? Are they big button?
Pretty big bonfire.
That's not allowed.
That's not allowed.
Yeah.
3 or 4 by.
They don't have the bonfires every night, but they have them. Let's put it
Boy,
that
when
way.
they have one of those big ones, if you call into our fire, they'll, dispatch, they'll come right out.
Can you see the
Oh,
fire? Yeah.
That's a problem,
Do you mind,
too.
when you guys go out, do you mind just calling me so I can get back with him
Yeah.
then, just to tell him?
Yeah, we'll go out and make contact and follow up.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thanks.
See what we can do?
Appreciate it.
All right.
I'll check on it. Okay, thanks. Thanks.
Okay, that concludes the sheriff's report. There's nothing on our unfinished business. I'm going to take it to new business. I'm going to turn that over to Ms. Campbell.
Thank you. Item number 1 is a resolution to authorize payment to the treasurer of the state of Ohio for the stormwater MS4 annual discharge fee in the amount of $2,100 from Fund 01A26E.
I will so move.
I'll second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
And then number 2 is the Blue Star Memorial Project update, which I'll turn over to Mr. Steinberg.
Excuse me, just briefly, we met with a couple of the ladies from the local Sage and Herb Club, which is a part of the Ohio Gardens Club. I inquired about the idea of a Blue Star Memorial, just to see what the process would be. They came in and met with a couple of us today about the process. It is a longer process than anticipated, but not one that's not accomplishable. Long story short, they take the onus of the application process. After we help them with the paperwork, they send it through the state Ohio Garden Club Association and then the national for approval. Given how many there already are in Stark County and Tusk County, you can imagine that times another 86 counties in Ohio and another 49 states on top of that. The process altogether for approval is something that can extend to 4 to 6 months, and then they start preparing the plaque and the post for send. Outside of that, they were just concerned about some of the generalities, who's going to plant the post, who's going to maintain the area, et cetera, et cetera. We were able to answer their questions pretty comprehensively without any issue. Outside of that, it's kind of a wait for next steps type of thing. They'll contact us after December 9th and let us know kind of what they would need from us as far as next steps go. So there was nothing more than informational, but I wanted to keep everybody updated on kind of how the process works.
I know if you want to see one, if North Canton, Price Park, it's the backside of the park off of Glenwood. So as you take Glenwood down into Belden Village, there's the parking lot. It would be on, it's right out close to the road, east side of the parking lot. Poles lit, plus the actual memorial placard. So you'll see exactly.
Exactly what we mean. Okay,
They're uniform like that.
Thanks.
Yeah, so
They have a very strict protocol that they follow.
Yeah, they don't see any hurdles in the sense of us not being able to be awarded. It's just a matter of the time and kind of the step-by-step process they have to take.
this
That's
will be a nice,
compliment.
yeah. Anything else?
That's all I have. Just an update.
Okay, thank you. It's going to take us to the fiscal officer's report, Mr. Flex.
Thank you, Mr. President. Item number 1 is a request for a resolution to authorize the payment of the pending warrants.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Excuse me. Fiscal Officer number 2 is a request for a resolution by the board to authorize the payment of regular payroll.
Also move authority to pay.
I'll second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 3 is a request for a resolution by the board to authorize the payment of the following medical claim.
Also move on fiscal officer 3.
Second. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Excuse me. Fiscal Officer number 4 is the investment report.
Yes.
All right.
Fiscal Officer number 5 is a request to amend Resolution 15-417 due to some additional fees that the auditor incurred during the audit. This is something that we transferred some funds a little while back in anticipation of it. We just wanted to wait till they gave us a final number. So it was, I think, about a $975 addition.
So moved.
Second it.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes. You still got it.
Fiscal Officer number 6 is a request for a resolution to authorize a transfer.
I'll move on fiscal officer 6.
Second. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 7 is a request that we received for a liquor permit. It's indicated as a new type of permit for the Giant Ohio LLC DBA Giant 444. This is a location there at the corner of 38 in Cleveland Avenue, 3811 Cleveland Avenue. I believe Linda contacted the sheriff. There had not been any issues there previously. Looking back in the file, this is kind of the same owners that had it previously back in 2009. They did a transfer of the liquor permit into a different company. It looks like, I don't know what happened to that point, but they're requesting a new permit.
You say it was there in 2000?
In 2000, I believe they obtained this permit back in, or a permit in 2009. Just want to double check. This is just whether or not we would object to them having a permit there.
We don't have any shares on it.
No.
Yeah, it was transferred out of the same Giant Ohio LLC, DBA Giant 444 back in June 11th, 2009, or 5/11/2009 was when the request came through.
Hold it.
Go ahead and send that without
Yeah.
a request. And then fiscal officer number 8, just added with regard to the purchase orders. We're getting at that time of the year for wrapping them up at the end. We'd ask that all department heads not open up any purchase orders after December 11th. So if there's like, I mean, obviously if you need gasoline or utilities or salt or things of that nature that are emergency, we can try to get them open and whatnot, but we'd like to not have any purchases after that so we can square in on what the carryover will be for budgeting for next year. And just a reminder also that we'll have to make sure that we get all blanket purchase orders closed out. So if you've got a question as to whether or not you've got any blankets still open, they all have to be closed at the end of the year. So go through and double check them.
And that's a very generous timeline from your office. So some places at the county, it's end of November and you're done spending, so.
We've got a meeting on the 22nd, so that kind of helping in past years, we didn't have that late meeting. It felt like the third week, so being able to go to the 22nd helps. The fiscal officer report.
Thank you. Nothing under the administrator. Going to take the fire department and turn that over to Deputy Chief Schallenberger.
Yes, item number 1 is a resolution to reimburse Robert Morton $360.14 for healthcare membership according to provision 37 of the collecting bargaining agreement to be taken from account 10A 15.
I will so move.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
And Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Item number 2 is a resolution to authorize reimbursement for Ben Hirschberger $249.24 for healthcare membership according to provision 37 of the collective bargaining agreement taken from account 10A 15.
I'll move. Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
That concludes the fire department. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. It's going to take us to the road department, Mr. Iacino.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I only have one item this evening. It's to authorize the posting of all township streets and no snow parking ban on speed limit signs in the following allotments: Pebblebrook, Diamond Estates, and Holly Hills number 2.
I will so move.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
And Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Thank you. Have a good Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
I was gonna do
Nothing under zoning. It's going to take us to the parks department. I'm going to turn that over to Mr. Steinberg.
Thank you, gentlemen. I'm going to actually switch up the 2 and the 1 and go straight to 2 and work my way backward. Just an update, Winterfest is coming up Friday, December 4th, 5:30 to 8:30 at Diamond Community Park. We've got a lot of activities. We've got some caroling around campfires. We have storytelling. We have some nice crafts for the kids. The man in the big red suit will certainly be there taking requests. We will have Santa's mailbox out so you can deliver a letter to Santa as well, and some festive holiday music for us all over the night. It's a great event. It's grown each of the last several years, and we've kind of retooled it this year just to bring it back to a more free-flowing event and have some things happen as we go through, but allow people to enjoy each piece of it as the night unfolds. So we're excited about it. The other major difference is obviously we're almost entirely outside again this year with the installation of new turf. We're just a little protective of the extra footprint. We have a couple of arts and crafts in the community room in our concessions.
It'll not be on the turf.
The concessions is at the concession stand, and the activities are in the community room.
It's all better outside, because I think,
It's more festive.
because the ice carvers last year, no one really paid much attention, because everybody was inside.
Ice carver and wood carver will be back as well.
Hopefully, not as cold as weather, it's also cold.
That's the one evening I prefer it snow, just to add to the atmosphere.
Not that cool.
Just a dusting, just a dusting. Any questions, I'll take them at this point. Are we okay with that one? Okay. I just wanted to thank everybody again for our Salute to Veterans event. It was our very first one with no real background for knowledge on what to expect. I think it was overwhelming, the support we got not only from our schools, from our different departments, from our partners in general, most importantly the veterans themselves that came out and supported the event and took part in the event. And it was a really nice day. I am taking credit for the weather that day, in case anybody asks. I put in that request very early. From the valet to the shuttles to the recorder's office, Veteran Services, American Red Cross, Blue Star Mothers, Historical Society, Lawrence's Diners 501c3 feeding everybody, and the wonderful speakers and just the attendance in general was outstanding, and I'm very excited to start working on year 2. So, just a quick thank you and a quick update. And that's all for parks.
Thank you. Nothing on our law director. It's going to take us to communications, and that's when Ms. Campbell.
Thank you. Item number 1 is a letter from Superintendent Brett May, who happens to be in our audience this evening, which reads, Dear Plain Township Trustees, I would like to congratulate Plain Township on the Veterans Ceremony held on Wednesday, November 11th. I've been to many events, and November 11th made the entire community proud. As a community member and parent of 3 children in the school district, I am proud to work and raise my family in Plain Township. As I walked to the ceremony, I was proud to see the American flags across from the high school. In addition, your welcoming environment for everyone who attended was a pleasure. It was my honor to interact with many veterans and see their pride and enjoyment of the morning celebration. As the son of a veteran, I was proud to call my father that evening and express my feelings and appreciation to him. The entire morning was a moment of pride for the community, and I hope you will continue this tradition for years to come. Thank you for allowing the Plain Local School District to participate. Our students and staffs were impacted greatly by your event, and I look forward to our collaboration in the future. I appreciate Plain Township, and the future is bright with your leadership. Thank you very much.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Item number 2 is a note received by Chief Don Snyder from Luther and Lorraine Robinson. And it reads, we wanted to thank you for the paramedics that responded to the 911 at the death of our son. They were very kind, respectful, compassionate, and thorough. They allowed us bereavement time, which we want to thank them for. Keep up the good work as your training is paying off and paying forward. Luther and Lorraine Robinson. Tough one. And then the last item under communications is from the ABC Aluminum Cans for Burn Children. I'm just giving a note about the 20th Annual International Burn Camp, which was held in Washington, D.C. And it was attended by our firefighter, paramedic Jim Russell from Plain Township. And he attended and brought with him survivor camper Haley Rippin. And Jim stated he enjoyed his time and was honored to be part of the camp. But I had the opportunity to talk to Jim about his experience, and taking Haley with him, and he said it was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. And he felt very blessed that he was able to attend with Haley, said it was something he will never forget, and it was just one of the most impactful times in his life as a firefighter paramedic, and how much he just thoroughly enjoyed the camp. And then also a thank you to Plain Township for the $1,307 donation, and that's money that was raised from the can collections throughout our community.
That's a lot of cans.
It's a lot of cans. And that's the end of communications.
Okay, thank you. It's going to take us a portion of the meeting. Public speaks. If there's anybody in the crowd that wishes to address the Board of Trustees, state your name and address for the record. Is there anybody? Nobody wishing to address? Do you have an issue for the board, sir?
Yes, I do.
If you just state your name and your address.
It's Donald Blend, B-L-E-N-D,
Okay.
3733 Bellwood Street Northwest, Canton.
You said that's 3733.
3733,
Okay. Whenever you're ready, whatever.
You want me to come up there? Or?
You can either come up there or you can stand wherever. Right out there, we've got speakers, so wherever you're at.
Okay, this will be easier, probably. I can lay everything down. My name is Donald Blend, as I mentioned, Bellwood Street Northwest in Canton. Lived in Plain Township, Ridgedale, allotment for 57 years now. And never had any major problems where I had to avail myself of the Plain Township group, other than 2 years ago when, thanks to Don Snyder's paramedics, my wife had a major heart attack. Got to the hospital in time, and the doctor said her quick work, along with his work, saved her life. So thanks again on that. That's a good part of the meeting. Anyhow, about 6 months ago, next to me, my neighbor moved in, a lady, Christine Cameron, at 3721 Bellwood Northwest. It started out by the fact that she has 2 dogs, supposedly trained. One of them is a German Shepherd, and the other is a Pit Bull. And they ran quite around their yards, and they started running around the neighborhood. They caused one problem after another. Part of my wife's recuperation was to walk every day. That's the doctor's orders, to get some exercise. And next to our house, they have a 150-foot driveway, and she's to walk up and down there. She will not walk up and down anymore, because at different times, the dogs would come down over a little bank, and they were stopped from here to the wall away by the owner. So they're supposedly trained dogs. Now that's great if you're watching one dog here and watching one dog here. How do you stop it? So that went on and on and on, and my wife is not doing very well because of it. Physical and mental strain because of this. Dogs bark all the time in the house. We sit in our backyard and they bark. We walk down the driveway or talking with somebody and they bark, and it doesn't stop. The harassment continues as the grass was not cut on our bank. Again, our lot is 180 feet deep, and the driveway is 150, and a bank. And for about 3 or 4 feet up, she will not cut the grass. It hasn't been cut for 6 months, probably 8-10 inches long. We've had out the sheriff department, we've had out the zoning department, we've had out the zoning, sheriff, and everyone talked to her about the problem, but nothing has happened about the dog, about the lawn, about the normal upkeep of the neighborhood. Last time, I think I talked to Tom, I had the mediator, Coleman mediator. That was on the suggestion of one of Tom's men, and we had those in. I went through the whole series with them. They did contacted her by letter form. She will not answer. She will not answer anybody. Different times when the sheriff comes out, she won't answer the door. When the zoning inspector came out, sometimes she did. She also told the zoning inspector and other people that that was my lot. Well, when the sheriff was out one time, he brought the lot lines up on the street and showed me right in the, to verify my own mind after 57 years. Why somebody can't tell her, I don't know. To date, she's caused character assassination by telling the sheriff and who I don't know else that I was keeping Tom. I mean, this woman is something else. The sheriff's been out 3 to 6 times, dog warden 2 or 3 times, the zoning inspector 2 times, many phone calls, letter from the Ridgedale Association. The Coleman mediator says they can't do anything else. So it's, right now, all I want is somebody to keep her dogs tied up like she was told, so that my wife can live a normal life and cut their grass like that. I got pictures if you want to see them on my iPad or what the lawn looks like. I think this is a shame that, and I know there's legal laws, I know the Ohio law on animals and stuff like that, but this type of harassment and intimidation and character assassination is unbelievable. And it's been 6 months of hell, I'll tell you. I'm open for suggestions.
Well, sir, maybe I can address a few of the things that you mentioned as the law director here at Plain Township. My name is Eric Williams, and what you've brought up really breaks down to 3 things from our perspective as to what we can address. And the first one would be dogs running at large, but that's outside of the lawn.
Yeah.
That's a home rule
Right.
violation that we have, and that would be through the sheriff's office if that's investigated.
I know, and they know exactly what I'm talking
Okay,
about. They were there.
And so the second one would be the barking
But
dogs.
why can't they be tied up in their yard? Why would an attacked dog and a pit bull be allowed to run in their yard? And at different times for myself, and they got as close as you and I, and she stops them. What happens if she doesn't stop them?
Well, that's
Then it's
whole
too
nother
late, you know,
issue.
after the
Sure.
water.
And I certainly understand. Here's the one thing we can't legislate, for people to be good neighbors. You know, I can't.
Love it.
I'd love it if I could,
Yeah,
but I can't.
I understand that.
So the dogs barking also is enforced through our sheriff's department.
Sure, but they can't come out every other day, you know.
They'll come out as often as you call them, and I've heard them say it at this meeting.
I've taken, and never have I had to take advantage of a situation like I do right now.
And I know that's frustrating, but it really is a situation where if you want them to write that ticket, you gotta call them. And maybe a couple tickets get somebody's attention. That's happened before like that.
Yeah.
As far as the grass goes, I'm gonna guess, Tom, that doesn't cover 50%.
No, and what a law, what a law,
Yeah,
you know, what a law.
yeah, sometimes these things are written for a reason, and that reason turns out to bite you a little bit in a situation like this.
I understand that too, you know, it's,
And typically in the past, I mean, Mr. Glenn, our staff has reached out, tried to see if people will play nice, but quite frankly, if they don't want to play nice and they're well within the parameters, even as the board of trustees, our department heads, they can tell us go pound salt, and unfortunately, we don't even have a legal repercussion.
I can understand, you know, that.
Outside of continuing to monitor the property from a high grass to see if it expands, everything else unfortunately falls upon.
And the other thing I was gonna say, and this is, I can't give you legal advice in
Well, I
any way, but you may wanna talk to an attorney. You mentioned some things in there that you may have some
Yeah,
rights
I
that you can
understand
enforce.
that, and I understand attorneys are expensive. I got an attorney's son down in Dallas, Texas, but he can't help me out here.
Right.
But, you know, how can people lie and get away with things like they are? This is an example of the driveway next door. That grass hasn't been cut, it hasn't been put to it, okay? It hasn't been cut since, and that's a 150-foot driveway, I got 4 pictures.
That's right next to your driveway.
That's right next to my driveway, and that dog stops right at the top.
And she won't.
When she's watching it.
She leaves that.
Right.
But it's too late, okay? And my wife's health is not improving. You know, it's getting to a long thing, I understand.
Sure, sure.
Why did she let that grass stay high?
The grass is growing down in my driveway, and the lot line, the sheriff showed me on it, right there straight.
Yeah.
If, you know, even if the mediator, she didn't want to talk to us, because, you know, she should have done it through a mediator, but no, won't have anything to do with it. But how can you work it out? If it goes into law, it's gonna be expensive, both ways.
There's no question about that.
Because the character assassination and my wife's health and, need I say?
Sure, no, I get it.
But we have nothing on this, Eric, these dogs are dangerous. I mean,
Why don't you step back here?
You see that?
she refuses to admit that that's her property.
Yeah, there was an example.
Yeah, I've gone by there and I've.
Yeah.
That's what John, I mean, that's not even a steep
Yeah,
grade.
watch the stuff going down.
Good.
That's a shame.
So anyhow, thank you for listening.
Not mine. Did you tell, does she know that it's hers now? Does she know that the lot line shows?
Yeah.
If there's nothing else
And she
you
still refuses to buy it?
suggest.
I mean, I would say this, and I know that the sheriff's office will back me up on this. Every time you have an issue, you need to let them know. And I know it seems overbearing, but it may be the only way to get somebody's attention sometimes. Is that if you're having issues,
Or-
or those dogs are in your yard, or those dogs are barking, whatever it is,
Or if they bite me, then.
well then, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
a whole
all
different
another,
matter, isn't
you
it?
know.
Yeah.
And hopefully we don't have to deal
You
with
certainly
that.
don't want to have to.
You know, and I know the legal rights that that dog would hit my driveway, I have the right to shoot it, you know?
Well,
I don't, you don't have to say, I know the legal rights.
Yeah.
Make sure there's a proper backstop.
Yeah. And
Not
of course, I
that
have
I'm
to-
purposely
of course I have-
supporting, but when we have firearms discharged, proper backstop.
Yeah, I have to pay for the dog then too. Well, it's just a shame that people can move into a neighborhood like that and not even try to get home. People don't walk the neighborhood, their dogs, everybody stays away from that corner anymore because they're afraid to even walk their dogs by.
Eric,
well,
is
I'll tell you
there-
this, on the barking dogs part, if there is a violation, for the first one it's $25, but then it goes to $100 for each one.
Well, they've been out X number of times, but sometimes you call them and then the next, they're not barking. When they get there, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
I don't want them think I'm nuts too.
Sure.
Can you video it and show the card?
I thought that deputies actually.
I think
had
that
text them in.
we've
Yeah,
kind of had a
actually,
policy,
that's-
and correct me if I'm wrong, Lieutenant, but that you guys want to see it.
We want to see it, there has to be over a period of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it can't be on barking, because there's a squirrel in the yard, the squirrel leaves, now I'm not barking, now the neighbors come out in their backyard, and I bark at them, now I stop barking.
Yeah.
It's a continuous course of barking.
Either way, well, thanks for listening. I would hope somebody would come up with something other than, I know what you're saying.
Trust me, this is one of those circumstances.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Is there anybody else in the attendance that wishes to address the Board of Trustees with any specific matters? That'll close out concern, or public speaks, concerns of trustees, and or concerns of the fiscal officer.
Mr. President, thank you.
That'll take us to the approval of the minutes for November 10th, 2015. And I will so move.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes. There is a need for executive session, so be it hereby resolved by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to adjourn to executive session at 6:39 p.m. from this regular meeting as authorized under Ohio Revised Code 121.22G for the purpose of consideration of 1A, appointment of a public employee or official, 1B, employment of a public employee or official, 1F, compensation of a public employee or official, 3, a conference with the law director or other retained counsel concerning pending or imminent court action.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.